I never thought I'd face a choice that would change me so deeply. That night, when it all started, I just wanted to get home after another endless day at the office. My suit reeked of stale coffee and exhaustion, and my pocket held a 3-day overdue rent check. New York, a city where even the air smells like hustle, felt colder than usual. The autumn air was damp, the kind that seeps into your bones. A fine rain turned the sidewalks into mirrors, and the streetlights stretched their shadows across the pavement. Somewhere down the block, a saxophone wailed, probably some guy busking for subway fare. I almost tossed him my last $5 but kept walking. Something told me, don't turn yet. Then I heard it, a faint, broken mule from a dark alley. The kind of sound you'd miss if you weren't listening. The alley stank of wet cardboard and rust, classic Brooklyn backstreet perfume. Under a dumpster, shivering in a puddle, was a cat. Skinny, filthy, with one ear torn clean through, and a missing front leg. A busted baseball bat lay nearby, next to an empty Budweiser can. Someone had tried to have fun with it. My gut twisted. It wasn't just pity, it was recognition. This cat knew he'd been thrown away, knew no one was coming for him. Jesus Christ, I muttered, crouching down. Who the hell did this to you? He looked up with eyes like tarnished pennies, exhausted, but sharp. His meow sounded like a screen door hinge begging for oil. I shrugged off my jacket, the one from Macy's clearance rack, and wrapped him up. He weighed nothing, just bones and a heartbeat. The loft wasn't always mine. 2 years ago, I was sleeping on my cousin's couch in Queens after the startup I'd poured 3 years into collapsed. That's how I met Karina at a bar near her office, where she was complaining about her editor to a vodka martini. She liked that I didn't look like another finance bro, and I liked that she laughed at my terrible jokes. For a while, it worked. Then Uncle Ray died, leaving me this place. Always knew you'd land on your feet, kid, his lawyer said, handing me the keys. The building was pre-war, with pipes that groaned like ghosts, but the view of the Manhattan Bridge made it feel like a secret kingdom. Karina started staying over more after that. She'd walk barefoot on the hardwood, sipping Chardonnay, and say things like, "We should knock down this wall." I'd nod, but something always itched under my skin, like she was decorating a life we hadn't agreed on yet. At home, I filled the sink with warm water. It turned brown instantly. Made me think of my grandma in Ohio hosing down our dog after he rolled in tar. "Dirt washes off," she'd say. "Kindness sticks." He let me clean him without a fight. Didn't even flinch when I dabbed antiseptic on his stump. Just sighed, like he'd been holding his breath for years. "You're a fighter, buddy," I said. "Frank, that's her name." After the old sailor at Joe's pub who'd rasp, "Life's a bitch, but you're tougher." The vet, Dr. Rosenbaum, had a Brooklyn accent thicker than pastrami at Katz's. He squinted at Frank's stump through wire-rimmed glasses. "Gangrene," he announced. "Probably chewed through a trap. Lucky you found him when you did." "Lucky," Frank repeated in my head as I signed paperwork with a $1,200 estimate. My savings winced, but the doc must have seen my face. "Tell you." "What?" he said, tearing the invoice in half. "Pay half now, half later. This one's got stories left to tell." He purred as I toweled him off at home, then passed out in a sunbeam. I stayed up watching him. For the first time in forever, I felt like I'd done something that mattered. Next morning, I was late to work. My boss gave me the usual look. For once, I didn't care. Over the next months, Frank got the good stuff. Premium kibble, vet visits, even a custom prosthetic. "Yes, doc, I'll pay extra, this guy's earned it." Evenings, we'd watch old westerns. He loved the horse hooves, and he'd knead my knee like dough. He wasn't a pet anymore. He was family. But I never told anyone about him, not even Karina. We'd been dating a year, and I'd been eyeing rink shops. She worked at some glossy magazine, always bragging about her purebred Labradors and Starbucks cups with her name misspelled. Once, she'd said, "Strays are basically disease factories." I'd let it slide. Regret it now. Karina's disgust didn't come from nowhere. Once, early on, we passed a homeless vet outside Duane Reade. "Ugh, they should round them up," she'd muttered, clutching her purse. I chalked it up to bad days and city stress. But then came the Thanksgiving when she refused to eat my cousin Maria's tamales. Who knows what's in those? And the time she made me return a rescue mutt I'd fostered because it shed on her theory blazer. Still, when she texted, "Can we talk?" after the Frank incident, I almost caved. Then I remembered the way her pupils had dilated when she saw my rent-controlled square footage, like a shark scenting blood. I left her on read. Frank, meanwhile, developed a hobby, knocking her abandoned hair ties off the nightstand. Each clink on the floor sounded like justice. Mrs. Delgado in 3B became her ally. A retired nurse with a Yorkie named Tito, she'd stop me in the hallway at Como este mi nieto gatito. She'd smuggle Frank homemade chicken broth and call him Soldado. One night, I found Mrs. Delgado in the hallway and asked her advice. How do I introduce Karina to Frank? I rubbed my neck. She's particular about things being perfect. Mrs. Delgado clicked her tongue, adjusting Tito's sweater. Aye, Poppy. Women like that. She shook her head. They love until the money stops. Animals. She pointed to Frank peeking from my doorway. They love until they stop breathing. Tito yapped in agreement as Frank sauntered over to sniff the tiny dog. The two touched noses, an unlikely truce between species. See, Mrs. Delgado grinned. The heart knows what the eyes cannot see. The big night came. I got a ring simple. No diamonds, she hated tacky glitter, ordered takeout, lit candles. Karina stepped inside, her perfume cutting through the loft's usual sin of old books and coffee. You've been avoiding me, she said, but her irritation faded as she noticed the candles, the wine. Her lips parted in realization. Then came the familiar thump drag of Frank's gait. He rounded the corner with his ratty eagle toy, purring like a broken engine. Karina's manicured hand flew to her mouth. Oh God, what is that? That's Frank, I said. Found him in an alley. You're joking. She stepped back. That freak lives here? Frank stopped, like he understood. Karina's lip curled. Alex, be serious. Did you even think about me? I can't live with some mutant. It's disgusting. Something inside me snapped. It's a cat, Karina. No, it's a problem, she spat. Him or me? Choose. Silence. Outside, a cab honked at a bike messenger. Standard NYC soundtrack. But in my chest? Quiet as an empty church. I slid the ring back into my pocket. Funny thing, I said. I was gonna propose tonight. But now I see you're the kind of person who judges a living thing by how pretty it is. And I don't do business with people who lack basic humanity. She blinked, then forced a laugh. You're overreacting. It's just ugly. I held the door open. You made your choice. I made mine. She left without another word. Her Chanel number 5 hung in the air like a ghost. In the commotion, Frank slipped out through the still open door, that damn three-legged escape artist moving faster than I'd ever seen him go before. Frank vanished for 36 hours in January. I papered the neighborhood with flyers, offering a reward I couldn't afford. Mrs. Delgado prayed to St. Francis while I scoured alleys, screaming his name like a madman. He turned up at a bodega on Flatbush, perched on the counter like a tiny king, accepting Slim Jim offerings from the clerks. Este gato es un campeón, said Luis, the manager. Ate 2 whole empanadas. The security tape showed him army crawling through the automatic doors behind a delivery guy. I framed a still of him mid-heist, his ears pricked, tail high, next to my bed. Karina would have called it tacky. Frank licked the glass. Last month, I brought coffee to the saxophonist from that first night. His name's Elijah. He scritched Frank's ears and played What a Wonderful World as we sat on a bench, steam rising from our cups. This morning, Frank brought me a gift, a hair tie, glittery pink. Karina's, no doubt, fished from some dark corner. I tossed it in the trash. He yowled, indignant, until I opened a fresh pack and scattered them like confetti. His joy was a hurricane of paws and purrs. The loft smells like kibble and cedar now. The walls have scratch marks. My dry cleaning bills are obscene. Wouldn't trade it for the world.